would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very long-standing policy.
We'll bring in Tudor Dixon now, the host of the Tudor Dixon podcast here. Tudor, great to see you. Obviously, you've seen this clip, and if you notice, Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker was there on that panel. I spoke with him yesterday. He told me he feels that they were just not prepared, and he questioned, how are you not prepared when you're coming to this Security Council and what you're going to speak about? Ukraine, Iran, the Middle East, Taiwan, obviously, which was the question. What does this clip do for AOC in your mind?
Well, I think it hurts the entire Democrat Party, to be honest. I mean, let's not forget that Chuck Schumer had us in the second longest government shutdown because of his fear of AOC. He was so afraid that she was so powerful that he had to keep the government shut down to try to protect his Senate seat. And she probably will run for Senate. What does that mean for the man who's been in government for 400 years now, that he is afraid of a social activist who is clearly uneducated on foreign policy and is arrogant enough to go to a foreign policy panel, sit down with Matt Whitaker and look at the moderator and just not even be able to put words together on a long-standing foreign policy issue. This is outrageous, but I think it shows exactly who the Democrat Party is right now. They are really trying to figure out what their messaging is. Clearly, it's not foreign policy. They're hanging on to what you were just talking about, DHS funding, and I think that's going to go poorly for them as well, because the Trump administration has already addressed what's going on with ICE, made changes, and they're very targeted in what they're doing, and yet the Democrats don't know how to talk about that either.
Yeah, using TSA agents and others, Coast Guard as leverage, it really is unfortunate because you've already seen Democrats do that in the 43-day shutdown. Getting it back to AOC, she was interviewed by the New York Times talking about stumbling on the Taiwan question. So here's how the Times put it. Ms. Ocasio-Cortez argued that efforts to make clips of any 5 to 10 second thing from her remarks go viral online, especially in the conservative ecosystem, had been done to distract from the substance of what I am saying. Was there any substance, though? And are you surprised the New York Times coming out with that?
I think you're so kind that you are saying they interviewed her. She reached out to them and said, you have to run this. You have to protect me. And that says so much about the New York Times today, that they are willing to do it and even admit it. I mean, the guy even tweeted out, she wants to set the record straight. How is she going to set the record straight? She doesn't know the history of Spain. She doesn't know the history of how horses came to Mexico. She doesn't understand common geography, and she's willing to proudly go out and arrogantly make statements that are patently false. And then she goes to the New York Times and says, I made a total fool of myself. Can you please try to mince together why this is potentially not completely foolish, and that I may have said some great social activism things, which they can't even do. They can't put that together because she truly is nothing but an activist, not a politician, not intelligent enough to talk about the critical things that we face as a country. And I'm so thankful that we have the Trump administration in office right now. We're not we're not sitting here hoping that the Democrats are able to provide some sort of foreign policy, because clearly there is not a single person in their party who is able to. You had Gavin Newsom there. You had Gretchen Whitmer there. You had AOC there. They are all considered top contenders for president in 2028, and not a single one of them could talk about what's happening on the world stage.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.